Of these two drones, we don't make drones, sell drones. We're basically a service provider, and we started off in television working with Channel 4 series Hunted. You may have seen that on the telly.
I did indeed.
We use the thermal imaging for chasing people around the country, which is a bit of fun. But the serious side of this is my ex-military background. We use the drone with the thermal imaging for perimeter security. And we've also used it to show with the normal cameras ingress and egress points of perimeters from here in the UK across to Afghanistan and Iraq.
So is this? It's calibrated, I assume, for a certain body temperature that you're picking up.
Basically, it's a standard. This is actually a FLIR camera, who obviously are one of the market leaders in making thermal imaging. I mean, this camera body alone is £8,000 worth. So it's not cheap. So hence, there's only a few operators in the UK that have this capability on this particular drone. The beauty of this is you can black hot, white hot, all the different rainbows. So there's lots of different things you can do. From flying over a solar field and picking out which panel has an issue instantly, rather than having to go and plug into every single one on the big solar farm. So it makes things a lot easier and quicker. For roof inspections that we do, we use the thermal imaging to show where there's rainwater ingress, even when there's no rain, because you can pick up the different heat signatures. So it's becoming very, very popular from a industrial side rather than just the pretty pictures, as I call it, with the film and television. The other thing on the other side of that is we've actually used this particular drone with the Warwickshire Fire Service for going into buildings after a fire to look at structural damage before the firefighters go in.
Wow.
We're actually in talks with
I mean, that's a game changer, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the disaster that happened recently here in London, we're actually in talks with the London Fire Service because of what we've done with Warwickshire to offer that sort of solution. They had their own drones up from Kent, which was actually one of these, but with a very basic camera on.
But again, this is quite a large sort of drone to get through doorways, through structural debris, you know.
We've done it, but it's very, very difficult. And you obviously risk losing the drone, but you can actually put prop guards on them. So if the props hit anything, it's game over. Yeah, so you can actually put guards on to stop them hitting anything, and the same with this.
So just to give me an idea, you know, you told me the mounting here. What sort of price point are we talking for something smaller?
This, I mean, you can go and buy this. Anybody can go and buy this from the shops. It's £1,000 for the drone. Right. You know, so it's a much cheaper alternative to helicopters or whatever. Flight time's always going to be the issue. But this
battery time.
Yeah, this is 25 minutes, 20, depending on wind conditions. But it's amazing how much you can actually get done in 20 minutes, and to change the battery is literally a 2-second change over and you're off flying again. But the beauty of this drone, I find, the image quality not for television, you know, it's not that sort of quality. YouTube and all the rest of it, fine, you know, and that's why people love this particular drone. But for us, from an inspection point of view, even internally within factories, looking at racking, high racking, getting close up to the racking and looking at the joints. So from a health and safety point of view, you're not having to have somebody do rope access climbing. You're not having to hire a lift in for the day to do that. You use a drone, you can get very close and personal and take the imagery. And also you've got a record of that from the inspection from the health and safety executive. So it's changing all the time from an industrial point of view what drones are being used.
And what about legislation in terms of flying these drones? You can do it over private land, I assume.
Yeah, you have to have the permission of the landowner to take off and land. So you can fly anywhere as long as you've got the permission of where you're taking off and landing from, unless it's a restricted airspace area.
And how would you know that if you are not a licensed operator?
There's several websites you can go on that will show you where you can and can't fly and what are restricted areas. We've got lots of people doing it in the restricted areas. But DJI have actually just released an update on this particular drone where it won't even allow you to take off if you're in a restricted area. So the only way to lift that is as a licensed pilot to provide proof of your license, insurance, etc. And they will then lift those restrictions as long as you can provide the evidence that you've got permission to fly in that area.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Thank you. Well, show us what these can do.
What I'll do is I'll just do a very quick demo with the little one here, and then I'll do the thermal imaging now. Brilliant. Okay? Just want to stand back a little bit for me. This is the DJI Mavic. This has got sensors built into it. Okay, so this is the Mavic. It has sensors built into it underneath, so it can actually see the ground. So it's now using vision and positioning rather than satellites, because there's no satellites in here. As you can see, I'm not doing anything with the controller, and it's perfectly stable. It also has sensors on the front of this drone, so if I was to fly this at a gentleman sort of 30 miles an hour, it would stop before it hit him.
Would it?
Yeah, it's got that technology built in. and the new Inspire has actually got it on all 4 corners and above. So again, I think the next iteration of this will have that. So if again, flying indoors, it's not going to allow you to hit anything because the sensors can be calibrated and set to certain.
As you said, propeller, if that's hit, then it's game over. So you've got to make sure they're protected.
Yeah, you get prop guards that you can actually fit on it. There's a special setting that you can say, I've got prop guards fitted, so it changes the whole characteristics of the drone. But from a point of view of stability, this drone here, and that camera, although you can't see that live feed right now, is absolutely perfectly stable. So even when it's jerking around like this, the image isn't affected.
And where would you stream this to? Where would the live camera actually be streaming?
Well, depending on what you're doing, we've streamed from the Brecon Beacons in Wales all the way to here in London to HQ for The Hunted on Channel 4. But we've also used this for streaming live to Gold Command on the ground. So where you've got an incident, you can stream straight from the drone via a password-protected server that only those people that you want to see can see that.
Just a technical question. So you've got 25 minutes, say, of battery life on this. What happens if the battery just fails?
The battery, if it gets, you can set the levels again. We set all of ours to 30%. So at 30% we get an audible warning, say you're at 30%. This particular drone, when you can set it again, say at 10%, it will then automatically come home and land where it took off from.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really good. The other thing is as well, the drone can now sense, say you've flown it away from you, you can say, hang on, I've not got enough battery power, I'm getting close not to get back. So it will automatically return to home when it needs to because of the battery power. And it also takes into consideration where it's flown obstacle-wise and moves away from that path on the way back.
Unbelievable.
So the technology is moving very, very rapidly. I'll just quickly put this one down and I'll show you the thermal imaging.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see the actual imagery on this one now.
Okay, so this is a completely different one. So you've essentially got a controller here attached to a regular iPad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a simple lead that connects into this. So you can see we're getting a live feed from the camera here. And this is a thermal... Ollie, could you just step aside, mate? This is a thermal imaging camera, so you can see there... You've got
wow, and the clarity is extraordinary, isn't it? You can actually see this gentleman's bald patch.
Yeah, well, if I stand in front of that, or if you go and stand in front of that now, put your hand on your chest, leave it there for a second, and I'll show the camera. So just move across. Move across.
Oh, sorry, here?
Okay, yeah. Okay, now take your hand off your chest. So you can see the mark there, you can see the imprint of your hand on your chest with the heat.
How amazing.
So this is thermal imaging, and you can change this. This is called Icefire, but if you probably will recognise better the police black hot and white hot that they use. Let me just change that on there. Put it onto video.
So this would be used, say, if we're looking for missing people?
Yeah, missing people. We've used it in search and rescue scenarios. We were the first company ever to use a drone in a live search and rescue out in the Alps in Switzerland about a year ago for a speed flyer called Harrison Fast. Unfortunately, we didn't find him, but we located where his remains were, pretty close. But yeah, the thermal imaging, you can see now, this is what you'd see with the police service, you know, okay. What they call white hot or black hot, depends on what spectrum they're working in. But this drone, again, you know, this camera can actually zoom in 8 times zoom, so you can be at 400 feet and still have one person filling the whole frame.
And how manoeuvrable is this sort of drone?
Exactly the same as the little one there. If you watch now, I'll take off and you'll see what it can do. Just stand back for me, please. Okay, so this drone here, you can see the legs on the drone are currently down. Yep. What this drone does, it lifts the legs out of the way so that the camera can be operating. So if I move the legs now.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
So the legs now lift out of the way, and that will give that camera a 360-degree view. You can actually rotate the camera around the drone. So there's the pitch and yaw of the camera.
Yep.
So you can see that from a thermal point of view, and then you can just press a button. And if I bring it onto us, you can see here now.
And there we are, look, I'll wave. See, look.
Here we are now, you can see that the drone is up there.
I mean, it's frightening.
Yeah, and obviously, as I say, the quality of the heat sensor within this camera is instantaneous. You see my handprint on your chest there. So it's pretty impressive stuff. And again, for search and rescue, it's fantastic. They've actually just used this in Colorado, the same camera, to find some lost hikers. And they did that within an hour as opposed to 14, 15 hours searching an area. The issue
what's the flying time of something like this?
About 18 minutes, 20 minutes tops, depending again on wind conditions. But there are now systems that you can buy Ellis there, who are here and demonstrating today, where you can actually put a tether onto this drone and have it flying continuously, but obviously it will be stable. But for providing overwatch or security surveillance, you can now have a drone sitting in the air for the duration of your event.
Wow.
With a camera like this fitted on all 4 corners of the building or event. And obviously with the current terrorism issues at stadiums, we're getting more and more inquiries as to what we can provide as far as security goes, utilising the drone technology.
Well, thank you. It's amazing stuff, really extraordinary. And as you say, the technology is moving on so quickly.
Yeah, literally every sort of 6 months, and our company, UAS Flytops, is pretty much on top of that. And we keep moving with the times and being able to deliver more, better and obviously cheaper solutions as they go on. You can spend up to £120,000 for a drone that is considered to be the fire service favourite drone, but you can have 20 of those for the same price. So
well made. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much for your time.